Neon requiem. Rain hammered settled like it had a grudge. It was not the polite drizzle tourists posted about on Instagram. This was the real Pacific Northwest punishment, the kind that turned every street into a mirror and every thought into a confession. Elena Voss stood under the lone sodium street lamp at the end of Pier 66. Elliot Bay lost behind a wall of fog so thick it felt like the city had been erased. Cold blue neon from a distant warehouse sign bled across the black water in jagged reflections, the only color in a world gone monochrome. Her trench coat, charcoal wool, cut sharp enough to draw blood, was soaked through at the shoulders. Water streamed off the brim of her fedora, the one she wore ironically until it became habit. In her gloved hands she held a thin sheaf of classified files, the edges already curling from the damp, pages stolen from a Homeland Security server, cross-referenced with subtle PD cold cases, 12 names, 12 professionals, coders, ventures, capitalists. A whistler bowler from Amazon vanished without bodies, without ransom, without pattern, except one. Every disappearance happened on a night exactly like this. Elena's breath fogged the air. She was 34, all cheekbones and calculation, the kind of woman who could make a source cry in an interview and still get the quote. Hidden motives? She had a drawer full. Her sister Leela had been number 7 on the list 2 years ago. No note, no goodbye, just an empty condo and a half-drunk glass of wine on the counter. The official line, voluntarily disappearance. Elena had never believed it. Tonight she was gone, pretending. Footsteps, soft, deliberate, not the shuffle of a drunk or the clack of a cop's boots. He stepped out of the fog like he owned the weather. Marcus Caney was 6'2", of tailored Miancy in a black overcoat that cost more than most people's rent. Rain glistened on his dark hair, slicked back, but one lock had escaped and curled against his forehead. His face was all angles, high cheekbones, a jaw you could cut glass on. Yet his eyes were the dangerous part, pale green, almost grey in the light, and they looked at her like he already knew every secret she would ever buried. "You are late," Elena said, voice low, steady. She did not flinch. Marcus stopped 10 feet away, hands loose at his sides. "No gun visible. Did not need one. Traffic," he answered, the hint of a smile that never reached his eyes. "Or maybe I wanted to watch you wait. You stand like someone who is used to be watched." She titled her head. "And you moved like someone who is paid to disappear people." A beat of silence. Rain drummed on the pier planks. Somewhere behind them a ferry horn moaned like a dying thing. Marcus took another step, close enough now that she caught the faint scent of cedar and gun oil. "Those files," he said, nodding at the folder, "they are going to get you killed." Already tired that once. She lifted the pages slightly, the classified stamps glowing under the lamp. "Leela Voss, my sister, you know the name?" His expressions did not change, but something behind his eyes shifted like a safe clicking open. "I know it." Elena's pulse kicked. She had expected Daniel. Threats, maybe a knife, not recognition. "Then you know why I am here?" 12 ghosts. Same signature, professional, no traces, and shoe. She let the word hang like a blade. Fit the profile. Marcus laughed once, soft, almost gentle. "Profile? Cute. You think I am the one vanishing them?" He leaned in, voice dropping into a murmur that cut through the rain. "I am the only one they send when the vanishing does not stick." The confession should have terrified her. Instead, it lit something low in her stomach, equal parts fear and fire, lust and danger, had always been the same color in her plate. She did not step back. Who do you work for? People who pay better than newspapers. His gaze drifted over his face, slow, deliberate. But tonight I am off the clock. Tonight I am here because a source told me a pretty journalist was about to blow the whole thing open, and I wanted to see her before I decided whether to stop her. Elena's laugh was brittle. Decide? Bold of you. He reached out, slow enough she could be moved, and brushed a strand of wet hair from her cheek. His fingers were warm despite the cloud. You are not what I expected, Elena Voss. Most people holding those files would already be floating. She caught his wrist, not hard, just enough to feel his pulse, steady as metronome. And most hitmen does not stare at their targets like they want to kiss them first. For the first time, his mask cracked. The corner of his mouth twitched. Who said anything about targets? They stood like that, rain sheeting between them, neon bleeding across the water is fractured blues and reds. The air tasted of salt and ozone and something electric that had nothing to do with the storm. Marcus pulled his hand free, but did not step away. Walk with me? Pierced too exposed. She should have said no. Should have pulled the 22. She kept in her coat pocket and ended it right here. Instead, she fell into a step beside him, heels clicking on wet wood. They moved deeper into the fog, past stacked shipping containers and sleeping cranes. The city lights of downtown Seattle were a hazy smear to the south. Space Needle, a ghost needle in the mist. Tell me about Leela, he said after a minute. Elena's jaw tightened. She saw a data analyst at a firm called Helix Dynamics. Quiet, brilliant, found something she was not supposed to. Some offshore shell companies moving money from people who does not exist on paper. She called me the night before she vanished. She said she was scared. Then nothing. Marcus nodded once. Helix? Yeah, I have heard the name. You had done work for them. Not exactly. He stopped under the overhang of a warehouse, rain roaring off the tin roof like static. I have cleaned up after them. Different thing. She turned to face him fully. Cleaning up means killing? Sometimes. His eyes held her, unblinking. Sometimes it means making sure the right people disappear without questions. But your sister, she was not supposed to vanish. That was a mistake. Someone got greedy. Elena's breath caught. Greedy how? Marcus reached into his coat and produced a slim black flash drive. Rain beaded on the plastic. Everything. Names, accounts, the real client list. Helix is just the front. The real players are tech billionaires and senators who kill his private jet. Who like his private jets funded off the books. Your sister cracked their encryption. They panicked. I was supposed to retrieve her, not remove her, but the order changed mid-job. She started at the drive like it was a live guinard. Who give this to me? Because I am tired. The words came out raw. Because I saw your face on a briefing sheet 2 weeks ago and something in me broke. Because for the first time in 15 years of doing this shift, I looked at the target and did not see a problem to solve. I saw a woman who might actually finish what her sister started. Elena took the drive. Their fingers brushed again, longer this time. Their contact lingered. You know what happens if they find you gave me this? She whispered. I know. His voice was rough. I also know what happens if I walk away now. She slipped the drive into her coat, then surprised them both by stepping forward until only inches separated them. Rain dripped from her lashes. They don't walk away. Marcus' hand came up, cupped the back of her neck, thumb tracing the line of her jaw. The kiss, when it came, was not gentle. It was rain and desperation and 5 years of bad choices colliding. His mouth tasted like smoke and winter. She pressed into him, fingers curling into the wet wool of his coat. He classified files, crushing between their bodies like a secret they were both willing to burn for. When they broke apart, foreheads touching, breath mingling white in the cold, he said, "My car's 2 blocks up. We need to move." They ran through the rain. His car was a black Audi A8, anonymous plates, parked in the shadow of overpass. Inside it smelled of leather and faint gunpowder. Elena slid into the passenger seat, heart hammering harder than it had any right to. Marcus started the engine, wipers slashing across the windshield. The city lights smeared into streaks of neon as they pulled out Alaskan's way. "Where are we going?" she said. "Safe house. My place. No one knows." Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like and share for more videos.